Since 1991, before I was even thought about being conceived in this bright and sunny beautiful world, Sonic the Hedgehog had been ramming his blue spiky body into cast iron robots harder than Knuckles' tail after meeting Rouge for the very first time. Since then, not much has really changed. Sonic usually contorts himself into a ball or blasts himself forward at light speed in order to defeat his foes. His arsenal of abilities and attacks consist of him throwing his entire body at things he doesn't like. I'm not going to make a joke here. I'm not going to do it. That's inappropriate. I'm too old to be making jokes about he's a whore. Sonic's a whore. Are you happy now? Aside from gameplay and mechanic purposes, this was probably also a way for the Sonic series to differentiate itself from a popular anime with balls, dragons, and sweaty men with bleached blonde hair. That sounded bad. That sounded really bad. While that's probably not the reason, Sonic does in fact lack projectile-based attacks. Now, the Sonic franchise has never been known to be a series about throwing hands. However, oh fuck, that's not true. That's not true at all. Look at this shit. Look at this. PETA complains about Pokemon every year, but clearly they've never played a Sonic the Hedgehog game. What does this even constitute as? Animal fighting? Animal abuse? You got Dr. Eggman enslaving little animals, heavy-duty industrial machines that are designed and built for specifically killing Sonic and his friends. Oh man, that is so fucked. Anyways, not the point. What I'm ultimately trying to say here is Sonic lacks projectile-based attacks. From your Kamehamehas to your Hadokens, today we're going to dive into what kind of projectile attacks Sonic does have at his arsenal, starting off with the Ancient Light from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't the Ancient Light that outdated ability that allows Sonic to do the light speed dash across a row of rings? And yes, while you are correct, it also lets Sonic propel himself at enemies at fast speeds. But none of those effects are what we're going to be talking about. As you can see, when Sonic charges this ability, big balls of light enter into Sonic's body. Okay, this is getting out of hand. I need to start phrasing this stuff differently. These volleys of light also act as a projectile weapon as they can destroy nearby enemies. These rays of light destroy the enemies they touch in both Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. While the movements of these energy spheres are random and can't be controlled, I still see these as projectiles that Sonic can use to harm enemies, as he doesn't need to be like a cop and physically assault his target with this move. As long as you're near an enemy when charging this ability, they'll usually be hit with these light projectiles, making this one of, if not the first projectile-based attack Sonic obtains in the franchise. The second fist-free attack Sonic has also comes from Sonic Adventure 2, being his special move called Sonic Wind. Now, while it's not a ball or a beam or object that Sonic shoots out of his body, it is a special, non-physical move Sonic can do to hurt his foes. He uses it in his battle against Shadow on the Ark, and as the player, you can use it in the multiplayer mode when you select Sonic to play as for the racing stages. The third and final move from Sonic Adventure 2 are the Magic Hands. Sonic can capture enemies into little balls, oh my god. Sonic can capture enemies into little spheres and throw them at other enemies, making this move a hilarious projectile-based attack. Yo, Sonic was really out here beating motherfuckers with other motherfuckers before it was an internet meme. Like, imagine the disrespect of your best friend being shrunk down into a baseball and chucked at you by the high school bully. What do you do after that? How do you even get your friend out of there? Who do you safely tell to prevent this man from becoming the next Marvel villain? I'll tell you what though, if Sonic kept those magic hands beyond Sonic Adventure 2, we probably would have had far less games. Or maybe a different villain entirely. The fourth and fifth move we're going to look at comes from Sonic Battle, known as Sonic Wave and Sonic Storm. These moves have Sonic shoot out a blue wave of energy after doing a spin dash. They're essentially the same thing, except one is used on the ground and the other is used in the air, but the effect is still the same. I'm assuming these waves are like slashes of wind, but I like to pretend Sonic has innate superpowers that he's slowly unlocking over time. I really hated fighting Sonic in this game because of this move. The CPU would always spam the shit out of this attack, even on easier difficulties. No wonder why no one really talks about this game. Oh, before I forget, Sonic also chucks these landmine bomb type things at enemies in this game, but all the characters do. I guess if you want to count it as a projectile attack, be my guest. I will have no objections to this school of thought. In fact, you'll have my full support. I won't argue with you. I'm just trying to pad out the video. And the final game, which also includes the most projectile, non-physical based attacks that Sonic has ever used, is Sonic Frontiers. If you know, you know, but I'm going to talk about them anyway for those out of the loop-de-loop. The first projectile ability in this game is called Sonic Boom. It's a rapid kick that cuts the air and sends it forward as a projectile type attack. While the range on it isn't super far, Sonic can use this move mostly indefinitely as long as he's in the air. There isn't really a limit, but it does leave Sonic vulnerable from attacks from behind and the side. The next move is the Cross Slash. Similar to Sonic Boom, Sonic lets out a rapid string of projectile slashes. The major difference here is that Sonic moves while doing it, and also performs this move as if he's letting out a big fat energy beam, similar to that Sweaty Blonde Man anime we discussed earlier. It looks awesome, and I believe it even does more damage than the Sonic Boom ability. I can't wait for Sonic and Shadow to fight each other with Sonic's updated moveset. I don't think Chaos Spear has shit on this move, to be honest. And last but not least, with the most infamous name in the Sonic community, we have the Homing Shot. This move has Sonic summon multiple energy spheres that all hone in on a single enemy for maximum damage. Where Sonic learned it exactly, the world may never know, but something tells me it was heavily inspired by Sonic Generations. Maybe. Probably. Definitely. Oh yeah, Sonic can also use these techniques from Sonic Frontiers in his super form. While they don't look much different than his normal counterpart, aside from the color, they do more damage than if regular Sonic were to perform these moves. And while we're on the topic, I do want to show this quick clip of Oxymoron on YouTube, which shows Super Sonic parrying the Wyvern Titan's laser attack. But if you look closely, it looks like Sonic shoots out a little projectile attack out of his hands, which collides with the Wyvern as you can see the impact particles. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in this clip, but I figured I'd include it just in case it could potentially be a new projectile-based attack we don't quite know about yet. Speaking of Super Sonic, here are a couple of extras I want to add to the list. Some projectile-based attacks that Super Sonic can do. In Sonic Advance 3, you fight the final boss, Gemerald, with Super Sonic and Eggman as your side piece. In this fight, you have to charge up Eggman into an energy ball and launch him at Gemerald to open up his weak spot in order to do damage to him. I'm not sure what to call this move exactly, but Sonic does technically charge and use Eggman as a projectile, which, in saying that out loud, is kind of funny. However, in Sonic Generations, you do the same damn thing, but with Sonic. Multiple Sonics. The final boss of Sonic Generations has you controlling both modern and classic Super Sonic as you fight against both modern and classic Eggman. In this fight, you switch between side-scrolling and moving around in a 3D space. As modern Sonic in the 3D environment, you'll be charging up classic Sonic and blasting his little ass through giant and heavy objects to make your way to Eggman. For classic Sonic, you charge up modern Sonic's big ass and shoot him out like a spear. It's kinda wild, but clearly Sonic Team loves weaponizing their characters instead of giving them new and unique projectile moves. No, I'm dead serious. Sonic has either been throwing his friends at Eggman or deflecting projectiles back at his foes since Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's honestly getting pretty stale. I want Sonic to charge up his life force and blast his enemies into smelly piles of dog shit. Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Did you see that? In Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, Sonic transforms into Super Sonic for the final boss and has his very own unique POW move. In this move, Sonic performs a series of fast whizzing attacks and then finishes with a fire blast? A Kamehameha? What is that? Why haven't Sonic fans talked more about this? And really about this game in general, it's so good. I know Sonic fans are all for the fast-paced platforming, but Sonic Chronicles, in my supreme and valid opinion, proved that Sonic could work as an RPG. I really wish we would have had more games like this, but too bad we'll never see an official sequel to this game. And finally, last but not least, and you should have seen this coming, you really should have, especially since our video on it kinda went viral among the Sonic community, Sonic X. Canon or not, I'm including it because I can and you can't stop me. In Sonic X, Season 3, Episode 64, Sonic uses two moves we've never seen the yellow blur use before. Just before entering into battle with Shadow, Sonic reaches his hand behind him and without looking, effortlessly takes out a squad of Metarex with some yellow electricity, static energy type move. I really don't know what to call it, since we've never seen anyone do this before, let alone Sonic. Many people speculate it to be an enhanced version of Sonic Wind or Chaos Spear, but none of those really make any sense since Sonic Wind is literally a blue whirlwind that circles around an enemy, and Chaos Spear is used later on by Sonic in this episode. Maybe one day we'll have an official name for this move, or perhaps see it again in a future Sonic game. But yeah, Chaos Spear. As I said before, Sonic 100% uses Chaos Spear against Shadow. Now everyone says this move is reserved for Shadow, but come on, look at this. That's not Chaos Spear? That's not Chaos Spear? We literally see Shadow do the exact same move seconds before Sonic does it. Are you gonna tell me Shadow didn't just use Chaos Spear? It's literally one of his signature moves. And if not, then what did Shadow just use? And if you do agree that Shadow used Chaos Spear, then how are you gonna say Sonic didn't? Sonic literally shoots out the exact same projectiles at Shadow right here. The VFX are exactly the same. You can't argue with that. Sonic uses Chaos Spear in Sonic X. End of discussion. Just kidding. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of the video, and if I missed any projectile attacks Sonic has used in the series. Now, I'm not familiar with the comics, which is why I didn't include any of Sonic's abilities from there, but if you are familiar with the comics, I'd love to hear more about Sonic's abilities, and perhaps I might make a follow-up video if I missed enough material that can justify a part 2 to this. Anywho, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more ridiculous ramblings from a grown-ass man who can't shut the hell up about a talking blue hedgehog. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.